Alright guys, American Trucker coming to you with another video. Today's topic is going to be about taxes. So my first bit of advice would be go find someone smarter than you to help you do your taxes, i.e. a CPA, a certified tax attorney, somebody, and pay them. You're just going to have to pay them. So anyways, if you come to work for Prime and you go into the lease program, you got to get a business account. So once you get that business account, you're going to be a 1099 employee, and they're not going to take taxes out on you all year long. They're going to give you everything after all expenses. At least that's how Prime does it. They take all expenses out up front, and then they give you what's remaining, which is not taxed at that point. So you need to find someone that knows how to reduce that tax liability at that point, because it's not like W-2. Some of you guys coming from anywhere that's not a business, that's not a 1099 employee, you're probably a W-2 employee more than likely. And a W-2 employee, you get your paycheck and the government has already taken out their portion of their federal tax. So that's kind of how it works, and that's how most people's background, where they come from. So find you a certified tax attorney. If you come to work for Prime, of course, the first thing they're going to let you know about when it comes to that is Abacus. Abacus is they do taxes specifically for Prime. They have access to all the tolls that you pay. They have access to all the fuel that you paid, your truck payments, all that stuff. So it's pretty simple, pretty easy to go with Abacus. I did year one, and didn't really have much issues, but I'll see year two if I'm going to keep them or not, and that's for my own personal reasons. But so bottom line though, here's how taxes work. So if you go to Prime, and let's say you duplicate what I did, and I don't know, I said this before in a couple of my videos here recently, but I'm not bragging about it. I'm absolutely not. I didn't do anything special, but just work hard. I worked hard, I stayed on the road, I worked 7 days a week. I didn't take much time off at all, and I didn't complain or cry or whine or whatever and sit there, on the weekends because there was a load I didn't like. Very rarely did I turn down a load. I just kept the wheels moving as much as possible. That was the bottom line. So that's how I made a little over $100,000 my first year at Prime. Before taxes, a little over $100,000 a year after all expenses, but before taxes. So basically, here's how that works though. Let's say you do the same thing. Let's say you make $100,000 even after all expenses. Well, they have a quarterly way you can pay taxes, or you can wait till the end of the year, and I think you pay a little penalty. But let's just say you waited the whole year, you saved up $100,000 in the bank, which I know most people can't do that. You got to pay your bills and stuff out of that. But let's say you profited, you net $100,000 for the year. Well, basic math is you're going to pay about 30% of that in taxes. So that means you're going to get to keep about $70,000 out of that $100,000, and the government's going to want to take about $30,000 out of that. Now, how do you reduce having to pay in that whole $30,000? Well, you spend money on your business. So anything you spent on your business that's business related is tax deductible. And this is where you want to get in specifics with your CPA or Abacus, or if you go somewhere and hire a tax attorney outside of that. This is where you want to sit down with them, talk to them, let them know you're in the trucking business. Find somebody who specializes and does taxes in trucking, and then they will have a better understanding of what, right off the bat, some things that you need to be looking for as far as deductions. But let's say you made $100,000. You didn't have, out of that $100,000, you didn't have any extra deductions. Of course, Prime's going to take into consideration, or Abacus is going to take into consideration your truck payment, your fuel, all that stuff that you spent. That's all going to automatically come out if Abacus does it. If somebody else does it, you're going to have to give them an estimate, get that information from Prime, and then they can subtract that as well from your gross. But anyways, that's gonna be your gross, but it's gonna bring you down to your net, and your net was $100,000. Well, if you spend that whole $100,000 on business-related expenses, then you pay zero in taxes, because according to the government, you have made $0 in profit. For example, I made a little over 100,000, but we'll just say 100,000 to make it easy math. I made $100,000 my first year at Prime. I spent that whole $100,000 almost. So let's say I spent $97,000, and that only leaves $3,000 that I didn't spend. So that's all that they're considering profit, and that's all that I'm going to have to pay taxes on, is that $3,000, not the whole $100,000. Because I bought a truck. Well, that's obviously business related. So I paid for that, and I paid for some other materials and equipment and tools and things that I wanted, but that was company related. So if I would have spent the whole $100,000, then I would have paid zero in taxes. If I would have spent $80,000, then that would have been $20,000 left over, and I would have paid 30% of $20,000, whatever that comes out to be. So that's how it works. So if you make $100,000, you don't spend any of it, that's what you net is $100,000 after all expenses, not your gross, but your net, and you don't spend any of it, the government's going to take about 30% of that. They're going to say, I want 30%, that's my cut, give it to me. And you're going to stick about $70,000 in your pocket and the government's going to get about $30,000. We're talking round numbers here, just ballparking here. But if you make $100,000 and you spent $50,000 on business related tax deductible stuff, and they're only going to tax you on the remaining $50,000. Still at that 30%, but only on that remaining $50,000. So what is tax deductible? That's where you need to do some homework, do some research, and then sit down with the CPA before the end of the year. I would do it as soon as possible. Have a good, clear understanding of what is tax deductible. That way you know to start keeping your receipts and start tracking them. Because a lot of people don't know that a car, in 2022 at least anyways, if you bought a car, I believe there was a rule out there where the whole car was tax deductible. After 2022, I think going in 2023, I think that was temporary. Now I think they're going back to where it depreciates so much per year, things like that. My truck that I bought, I had a choice, according to my CPA, to use it all for this year as a tax deduction, the whole amount that I spent on the truck, or I could have broke it up and depreciated it over a few years, which comes out to be about the same, but just kind of comes down to your strategy, what you plan on making next year, what you plan on doing with your money, what you did with your money this year in that tax season. And it's just, it all comes down to a strategy. That's where I think you need a good CPA. That's why Abacus they're good, but they're very commercial, and I want more of a one-on-one setting with my CPA. And I want to go in there and talk to the same person every time. Abacus, I know they're busy, I'm not down on them, but every time I went in there, I've talked to a different person every single time. I want to get a CPA. I've already actually talked to one where I live at in my hometown. And when I'm off, I can go in, see the same person every time. He gets to know me, my business, how I run it, what my goals are, and find me the most efficient financial way to get there. So that's what you're looking for. If you're not trying to grow your business, buy what you need for your business and keep your receipts, and that's all tax deductible. Understand things that are tax deductible that you may not think about, like your cell phone bill, things like that. And then the rest of it, you just put what you can in the bank, especially if you've got a family and you haven't got any particular needs to grow the business, and pay your taxes, whatever the rate they come out to be after all deductions, and it is what it is. But that's how people grow their business pretty quickly and pretty rapidly, that the more they spend, the less they have to pay in taxes, because the less net profit that they show. Let me correct that. The more they spend on their business, it's got to be business related. Again, consult with your CPA and he'll let you know what that is. But hopefully that wasn't too confusing. But that's how it works. That's why you hear some of the people that say, like, you know, some of the rich people never pay taxes. Well, that's because they spend it all. They spend all the profits and just keep investing it and more, and they show no profit. Therefore, they pay hardly any taxes because they know how to spend it. And other ways, of course, you know, once you get up in that level, then there's a bunch of other ways you can keep from paying in a bunch of money, but you know, that's neither here nor there at my level. I'm starting with the basics first, just now getting an understanding of those. I'm learning how that works, and then I'm going from there. But sit down with a CPA, tell me you watched a video from American Trucker, explain to him like, hey, I really don't know what I'm doing. If you've never been self-employed, you need to do this ASAP. Find out what's going on. Be upfront and honest with the tax attorney. Say, like, I have no clue. I just got into trucking. I just came working from, you know, McDonald's or whatever, and I've never had a business license or anything like that. Now I do, and I want to make sure that I'm utilizing my money as efficient as possible and paying as least amount of taxes that I need to in, you know, as long as it's legitimate, you know, it's not, you know, illegal or anything like that. So that's my advice. I'm gonna get off here. I appreciate you guys watching. Like, share, subscribe if you don't care, and look for me on the next one. American Trucker, I'm out.